My name is Ricardo Lara,
And my name is Lily Krug.
and today we're going to be talking to you about our study, What Affects Perceptions of Sexual Harassment?
Sexual harassment in the workplace can occur in many forms. Many instances of sexual harassment in the workplace occur every day in settings at every level across the globe. Business, education, hospitality, military, entertainment, medicine, government, and even in religious communities.
Research shows that victims can experience anxiety, stress, depression, sleep disorders, weight gain/loss, nausea, lowered self-esteem, and sexual dysfunction. In the workplace, sexual harassment can have a demoralizing effect on employees, and then they can choose to leave.
The present study seeks to investigate the influential factors on perceptions of sexual harassment in the workplace. These factors include age, race, gender, sexual orientation, work experience, religious background, and whether or not the participant has received any form of sexual harassment training.
157 participants from Amazon's MTurk received and evaluated the studies through Qualtrics. Participants read through different scenarios with different examples of sexual harassment occurring in the workplace. After reading each scenario, participants rated whether they disagreed or agreed that sexual harassment took place in each specific scenario, rating it from 1 to 10.
Participants then completed another survey pertaining to their demographics, which include age, race, gender, sexual orientation, work experience, religious background, and whether or not the participant has received any form of sexual harassment training. Perceptions of sexual harassment were averaged across the scenarios to serve as the dependent variable, indicating how likely each participant was to perceive sexual harassment in a situation. An ANOVA was performed to analyze the data with gender, male versus female, sexual harassment training, yes versus no, race, Caucasian versus non-Caucasian, and sexual orientation, heterosexual versus non-heterosexual as the independent variables, and perceptions of sexual harassment as the dependent variable.
There was a significant main effect for sexual harassment training. People who have had sexual harassment training were more likely to perceive sexual harassment taking place than people who have not had sexual harassment training. There was a significant interaction for gender and sexual orientation. Non-heterosexual males were the most likely to perceive sexual harassment taking place, whereas heterosexual males were the least likely to perceive sexual harassment taking place. Females were in the middle, though non-heterosexual females were slightly more likely to perceive sexual harassment than heterosexual females.
This bar graph shows the main effect of sexual harassment training on perceptions of sexual harassment. As you can see, participants who have had sexual harassment training were more likely to perceive sexual harassment. This graph shows the interaction between gender and sexual orientation. As you can see, heterosexual males were least likely to perceive sexual harassment, whereas non-heterosexual males were most likely to perceive sexual harassment. Females were in the middle.
This study investigates the different factors that can influence multiple individuals' perceptions of sexual harassment. Based on the results of the study, we conclude that individuals that have received sexual harassment training were more likely to perceive sexual harassment taking place. Thus, sexual harassment training appears to make people more sensitive to the issue of sexual harassment and more likely to perceive it.
The interaction between gender and sexual orientation showed that non-heterosexual males are the least sensitive to sexual harassment, whereas heterosexual males are the most sensitive to sexual harassment. This is likely due to the bias that non-heterosexual males experience in their own lives and are more sensitive to such negative behaviors than others. Sexual harassment is an important topic that organizations should bring into light with their employees. Through sexual harassment training, a decrease in sexual harassment occurring in the workplace can occur, while an increase in perceptions of sexual harassment can transpire.
Here are all the research studies that we utilize to learn more about sexual harassment and perceptions. Lastly, we wanted to say thank you to all of our participants, Dr. Cheryl Stenmark, and to you, our audience. Thank you for your time.